how to avoid negative equity when it comes to property market or property investment. Now, if you've been watching my previous videos, I mainly cover about topics about property investment. So welcome back to my channel, and this video is all about what a negative equity is and what you can do to get into such a situation. So I'm not in a beach, as you can see on the screen. It is just a virtual background. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen so I can do the presentation for you. Okay, so here we go. Right, present. How to avoid negative equity. Okay, so it's important to understand what is negative equity. So especially if you are a first-time buyer and you're really energetic to get into the property market and you want to get your first home and tell your friends and invite your families, you know, here, this is my new home, you know, your new house, and you're really excited. And you know, the thought about you being into a negative equity could easily be, you know, it could easily slip off your mind because of your whole excitement and the present, you know, the emotions you've got attached to owning a property. So very simply, what negative equity is when the amount of mortgage that you owe to the bank or the mortgage lender is more than what your house or the property is worth. Okay, so it's quite straightforward there. And here's a little example here. Okay, so you bought a property that was worth 200,000 market value. You put a deposit of 10%, which is 20,000, and that is your current equity in that property. Okay, so when people ask you what's the equity you've got, that is the equity you've got because you've just bought the property. So the remaining part of the price, which is 180,000, is your mortgage. Over the next 2 years, here's an example there. You paid off £5,000 from repayment. Okay, so you have two types of mortgages. You've got the interest only and you've got the repayment. Okay, so on the repayment where you pay the interest as well as part of the capital towards the property. So if you are a first-time buyer, then obviously, you know, most of the first-time buyers are on repayment mortgage, and that is what I think is the right thing. So just so you know, I'm not a licensed mortgage advisor. I'm sharing with you what I know from my experience and knowledge, but I'm not a licensed mortgage advisor. So going back to the example here, so you paid a £5,000 over the next 2 years, but unfortunately, the market dropped by 20%. Okay, so 2 years ago or 3 years ago, no one knew that COVID was going to hit the whole world. Okay, so which means that we should be ready or planning for whatever, you know, may come in future. You know, something like this or something more worse than this could happen, right? So it's always important to have that, you know, contingency plan and to be ready for the worst case scenario rather than putting yourself in that danger, knowing that it is not, you know, it is there, unless you can afford to lose what you've invested on. Okay, so the market has now gone down by 20%, so which is £40,000 less than the original price. Okay, so now your property is only worth 160,000. Okay, let's go back. Sorry, 160,000 here. And your remaining mortgage balance is 175,000 because you had 180,000 before, okay, and then you paid off about £5,000, which leaves you 175,000 worth of mortgage balance, but your property is only worth 160,000. Okay, so which means you are on a negative equity of £15,000. Now, it doesn't sound like a big thing, okay, and it's not a big thing if you don't have to do certain things, which I will come to you later on. So in that scenario down there, what is the biggest contributor to the negative equity? What is the biggest contributor? If you just go back in there, so what's causing you to come to this negative equity is because of the market drop by 20%. So really, I mean, you can't do anything about the market, you know, that's what the market is. And this is how you make money, you know, by buying when it's low and selling when it's high. So it goes up and down. That's the whole market. Okay, so you can't do anything, but that is the sole cause of you being on a negative equity. So what can you do about the market downturn? Right, so you can wait until the market picks up, okay, simply. Only, you can only wait if you don't have to sell the property. Now, if you are in a desperate situation, if you're in a bad situation where you have to sell your property during the market downturn and you are in a negative equity, this is when you're in the worst case sort of a scenario, and you don't want to be in that scenario, okay? So that's what you can do during the market downturn. Wait until it picks up, or don't sell the property if you can afford not to sell it. Okay, so how do you avoid getting into situations like that? Firstly, do not pay more than the market value of the property. Okay, so it's easy to say, but there's a lot of research, going into how you can make sure that you're not paying more than the market value. So, which means you need to understand the market value for all of this. Okay, and where possible, try and buy below market value. Okay, so try and buy the property below market value. Okay, so that's one thing that you can try and do. Again, if you are buying at a peak time, I'll be really hesitant to pay the minimum deposit. Okay, so peak time, the economy is all booming, which means it's soon it will be coming down. Okay, so when the economy comes down, you could lose your job. Of course, the property market is going to drop. So the likelihood of you getting into a negative equity then will be very high. So seeing that or knowing that, putting the minimum deposit, like even if it was a 0% deposit or 5% deposit, could be quite dangerous. Okay, so instead, just I would, my personal preference, this is, it is 15% plus. Okay, so this is for a first-time buyer I'm talking about. So if you're a first-time buyer, at least if you can afford to pay 50% down, 15% down, that's good. If not, if you're buying the property at below market value anyway, and then you put 10%, which is also not too bad. But then the problem is, if you're paying the peak price, the highest price, and you're putting the less deposit, that's when things can be quite bad. So how do you know? That you're not paying more? Like I said, it is simply very simply what I do is I check the average sold house prices within half a mile radius of the property that you're talking about. Okay, so similar condition property, similar bedroom, and also I would take the properties, similar properties that are on the market now. Okay, and generally the ones on the market are at a higher price than the ones already sold. Okay, but the properties that are already sold, you also have to see when they were sold. Okay, so they could have been sold when the property was on the peak last time, or when the property market was on the downturn last time. Okay, so a good comparison would be if the property was sold within the next 6 months. Okay, so that's the data you want to check, which you can get it from the Rightmove website, which you can get it from the land registry websites, and get the average of all of those properties that are already sold, get the average, and you don't want to pay more than that. Okay, so that's how you can make sure that you're not paying more than the market value. Now, I do cover this particular topic, buying below market value, understanding the market value, and all of that in my book, which I will share it with you here. Now, the book is called The Financial Freedom for Immigrants. Now, it is not just for the immigrants, but it does have a lot of things there which can help immigrants get on the property ladder as early as possible. So you can get the book from here, Financial Freedom for Immigrants, or of course here, it's also available from the Amazon. That's the book here, Financial Freedom for Immigrants. And I do cover, like I said, quite a lot about understanding the market value, buying below market value. Really good, helpful tips there, especially for first-time buyers who have come, those immigrants who have come from abroad. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful there for you. On the next video, I will try and cover another interesting topic there. But if you want me to cover any certain topics, then I'm more than happy to do that. Just put down in the comments there, And thank you once again for watching my video. And I hope to be on a beach like that on my background very soon.